Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I was just pogging at the merch that Chili Pepper has on. Don't you want to wear it too?
September 1994, Nintendo of Japan. Development of Super Mario 64 begins. From the very beginning, a major design decision was made. While the transition to 3D did open up many exciting possibilities, at the center of it all would be Mario's most basic and iconic ability, his jump. So that's what they did, and they did it right. In 1996, when Super Mario 64 came out, it was an immediate success. At the core of the tightest and most responsive controls ever seen in a 3D game was a wide range of unique abilities accessible at the press of the A button. Single jumps, double jumps, triple jumps but with sparkles, side flips, long jumps, wall kicks, backflips, jump dives. So naturally, players thought, what if we didn't use any of them?
The heck?
The late 90s, early 2000s internet was a magical place, like the kingdom far away in a fairy tale. Nearly all of it was either modernized or abandoned, but every now and then you find an artifact of a simpler time preserved in amber, seemingly for generations to come. One of these is Walton Dell's website, where all sorts of Nintendo 64 tricks and findings were reported by Walton Dell himself or submitted by email. Some were glitches, some were fun little challenges you could try and complete, and some were downright stupid, like imagining a face in the ground texture or telling you to track down all 12 Viking bombs. Until October 16, 2000, when an anonymous visitor sent this long email, blissfully unaware of the consequences that would unfold over the next 2 decades. Among many others, there was something he called the A Button Challenge. Try to get every star in Bob-omb Battlefield while using A as little as possible. Even though the email was pretty clear about it, for some reason, Walton Dell was confused as to whether to count the cannon shots as A presses. He figured that shoot to the island in the sky, which was submitted in one A press, was impossible if you counted cannon shots, and so he decided not to count them, in which case the star became trivial in 0 presses. But in the email, the strategy for it was actually explained in detail. Simply run to this bridge and fall off, doing a ground pound to break the wing cap box and get the wing cap. Afterwards, use this cannon to shoot up, and while flying, ground pound the star box, breaking it and getting the star in a single A press to shoot the cannon. Interestingly, the email mentions a guy named Miles, and the star is listed on Walton Dell's website as Alex's challenge. But who was that mysterious visitor? Well, it turns out that it was the legendary Alex Penev, one of the most prolific Nintendo 64 players of the time, who set hundreds of world records in Mario Kart 64 back in the game's first decade and is still active today in the Mario Kart community. In 1999, a part of the community was using IRC to discuss shortcuts and strategies. Although Mario Kart 64 was the primary focus, other games sometimes came up. Together with Miles Buckrim, Jason Walls, and David Wan, who also had his own website of N64 tricks and glitches, Penev and friends came up with a number of challenges, such as trying to get as many stars coinless, capless, and cannonless, and of course, the A Button Challenge. Alex's email was surprisingly detailed for what actually ended up on Walton Dell's website. Many more A Button challenges were submitted with strategies to solve them that were way ahead of their time. For example, in Cool Cool Mountain, the red coin star was already known to be possible in 0 A presses. This coin is particularly tricky, and the strategy to get it, found by Jason Walls, was surprisingly clever. First, touch the chairlift at the bottom to make it go up. Then, quickly run to the warp to take it up and drop down to the coin just in time to dive and land on the chairlift. Or again in Cool Cool Mountain, wall kicks will work. The strategy here was to reach this spin drift, then use A to jump on its head and hold the button, never releasing it. When spinning in the air, Mario will twirl faster and fall slower when A is held. Using that slower fall technique, it's possible to reach the star with only one A press. It's unclear if it was before or after, but the A Button Challenge was also submitted by a visitor named Nathan for the red coin star in Snowman's Land. Here, Dell said that it was easy once you got to the Koopa shell, but he couldn't find a way to reach the shell in the first place, so he labeled the challenge impossible. However, in his email, Penev detailed a strategy to reach the start world from the freezing pond with 0 A presses, so it's very likely that Nathan had done the same thing for the red coin star.
Ooh.
For reasons known only to himself, Walton Dell never released any more of the numerous A-button challenges that Penev included in his email. For a whole year, this disappointment was the only documentation of the A-button challenge available on the internet. But that changed in 2001 when the very first webpage dedicated to the challenge was created by GameFAQs user Chris Oldfield, also known as Human Tree. He had a list of his own best scores for most stars in the first levels of the game. For some of them, Alex Penev had already done better. Together, they exchanged strategies on ICQ for a short while. But since the very beginning, something had been lacking. The A-button challenge had always been considered on an individual star basis. Even the 100 coin star was tackled independently from other stars. Human Tree was the first to break those rigid rules when he came up with this idea. How many stars can you collect from a fresh file without touching the A button once? He gave it his best using all the strategies known at the time. The final result was 10 stars. Unfortunately, Bowser in the Dark World required the A button to be completed, so Human Tree was locked out of most of the castle. Also, Big Boo's Hound is only unlocked at 12 stars, so even that level was just barely out of the question. So, being limited to only 4 levels, he collected Big Bob-omb on the summit, Foot Race with Koopa the Quick, Shoot into the Wild Blue, every star in Cool Cool Mountain except for Wall Kicks will work, and the Princess's Secret Slide in under 21 seconds. Of course, no video of this feat remains today. Human Tree's page eventually went offline and no archive of it can be found. That piece of history is on the brink of being forever lost, only existing in the memory of maybe a handful of people. And then, that was it. After figuring out about 30 stars and getting 10 stars with 0 A presses from a fresh
surprised you can only do the one
challenge to the whole game.
I'm surprised you can only do the one slide star, Princess's Slide. I guess the one you have to jump into the box. But I feel like whatever. I feel like that would be possible.
Nobody asked the crucial question, how many A presses does it take to beat Super Mario 64? For years, that question lay dormant. In the meantime though, more resources for the game started to pop up. In November of 2002, another regular GameFAQs user, a college student by the name of Curtis Bright, made a website that eventually became SM64.com, which is still online to this day. The site had a comprehensive list of every coin, 1-up, warp, and other secret in the game. It also had the world records for time challenges with videos, which at the time was unheard of. Holding most of these world records were a couple of guys. Their names? Miles Buckrim and Alex Penev. One day in 2003, Penev sent Bright a message over AIM with the extension of the original Cool Cool Mountain A-button challenge to include the whole stage in a single A press. This piqued Bright's interest enough that he tried the same thing for Bob-omb Battlefield, Whomp's Fortress, Jolly Roger Bay, Big Boo's Hound, Lethal Lava Land, and Tal Tal Mountain as well. The result was 45 different stars and 48 A presses. He eventually created a page on his website for the A-button challenge where he posted his scores at some point in late 2005. But he was alone. For years, the A-button challenge was all but dead until this fateful day, July 13, 2007. On the GameFAQs forums, a user by the name of Kirby Muncher created a new thread for the A-button challenge. Curtis Bright was one of the first to participate in this thread, and he mentioned that another player from Brazil had set up a records page of his own and that he had done even more stars. His name was Thiago Trujillo. It turns out that Thiago had done a lot more stars. In fact, 2 months prior to the GameFAQs thread, he'd already done 112 stars in 244 A presses. By this time, Nintendo 64
Why are they not counting
emulation
another
was
A?
getting quite popular, and some people achieved stars in fewer A presses than ever before using save states for the hardest parts. Bright noted that he should make a world record list separating real-time scores from tool-assisted ones for fairness. One of those answers was Bob Mario 511. He came up with creative strategies to lower the A-press count of many different stars, but perhaps his most impressive achievement is posting videos of them that are still available 14 years later. In fact, he posted over 100 of them. At this time, the few stars that were still missing were mostly in TikTok Clock and Rainbow Ride, as well as Bowser in the Sky and the Dire Dire Doc's 100
They're pretty
coin star
vertical
because they were deemed too daunting and couldn't be done in fewer than at least 10 A-presses. In the meantime, Curtis Bright had followed through. He updated his website with a leaderboard divided between real-time and tool-assisted runs where people could submit their own scores with videos. Among those people were Bright himself, Bob Mario 511, and Tiago Trujillo, but also many unknown players like NUp112, Silent Slayers, Sonic Packer, and Robert C, to name a few. It's a shame none of those guys ever did anything else of significance. The earliest date with an A-press count for the whole game is on Curtis Bright's website on June 12, 2008. All 120 stars were collected with a grand total of 217 A-presses. But there are two major caveats to this count. First, the good news, every star was counted in isolation. And now the bad news, every star was
Yeah, that
counted
makes
in
sense.
isolation.
Because I'm sure they do the red coins
star doesn't
and
kick Mario out of the stage. When collected together with
Yeah.
another star in the same stage, they can combine for fewer A-presses than when collected separately.
yeah.
We can reasonably estimate that about 12 to 15 redundant A-presses could be taken off the total. However, at the time, a full 120 star count wasn't being considered, and with incomplete data to analyze, it's impossible to get a clear number without large leaps and drawing conclusions. So we'll keep those redundant A-presses in for the time being. But this number doesn't account for the A-presses needed to navigate the castle and enter every stage. The Secret
Yeah, that's
Aquarium,
true.
Hazy Maze Cave, and the Metal Cap course require one A-press each to access. Rainbow Ride, Wing Mario Over the Rainbow, the Vanish Cap course, and Bowser in the Sky all require 2. And finally, Tiny Huge Island and TikTok Lock require 1 for every single stage entry, for a total of 23 additional A-presses, which brings the earliest full count to 240. During the month of June 2008, another tasser by the name of Alk Daniel managed to squeeze out another 6 A-presses out of TikTok Lock, which brought the total down to 234. His video went largely unnoticed, like this improvement on the 100-point star getting one single comment from a clueless gamer. With a submission-based
Wait, what was the
leaderboard,
comment?
GameFAQs thread
It didn't
no
show long
comment
enough.
from a clueless
How did you kick in the air without pressing it?
gamer. With a submission-based leaderboard, a GameFAQs thread bursting with activity, the advent of tool-assisted runs, and every single star finally having an A-press count, the A-button challenge entered its golden age. The quest to lower the total number of A-presses to beat Super Mario 64 with all 120 stars had officially begun. Immediately, the progress that was made was nothing short of incredible.
Nothing's happening.
Curtis Bright's page never really caught on.
Oh.
It got submissions from about 30 different people over the next 3 years, but no one actually improved any scores on there. The GameFAQs thread died out after a few months and 300 posts. Instead of lowering the count, players simply assumed they had solved it.
Oh.
It took 3 years for any improvement to come, but when it did,
That's
it came
5?
from an unexpected source, and it was glorious.
Wow. What?
20
Wait. This looks TAS, probably, but... I don't know how to do the frame skip thing, but... That's insane. That is insane.
20 stars in no A-presses. Again, stunted by Bowser in the Dark World blocking access to most of the castle. This tool-assisted run was made by a group of Japanese tassers in early 2011.
I was gonna say, it was definitely TAS.
When it made quite the splash. 78,000 views in only 6 days. Articles were written about it. Unfortunately, little is known about the development of the TAS since the
That thing just
articles were
clipped through
written
the
about it.
wall?
Unfortunately, little is known
Why does that happen?
about the development of
That's
the
so
task,
weird.
since the only contributors that are still active today don't remember much about it. But it did inspire another Japanese tasser to find an improvement in Jolly Roger Bay's Plunder in the Sunken Ship only 2 days later,
That's cool.
which allowed both that star and the next to be collected from a fresh file, bringing the total to 22. And yet again, that was it. The challenge was largely forgotten for nearly 2.5 years. But this dead period turned out to be very special. It would be the last one. On August 25th, 2013, an unlikely figure reappeared. Remember this clueless gamer from 5 years ago?
No shot.
This is Panenkoek 2012.
I didn't
What
even
he would
realize it
achieve
literally
in this
said
is
Clueless
Canon
Gamer.
2012. This Clueless Gamer from 5 years ago.
I
This
thought it
is
was just
Canon
some random name and profile
2012.
picture.
What he would achieve in the next few years is so
Ooh.
revolutionary, so absolutely incredible that it single-handedly elevated the A-button challenge to heights that no one could have possibly imagined.
Okay, that bat thing was sick. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. But what the heck was this?
The A-button revolutionary, so absolutely incredible that it single-handedly elevated
What are those Goombas doing?
the A-button challenge to heights that no one could have possibly imagined.
What star is that?
Challenge
Coins?
to heights that no one could have possibly imagined.
It is coins, but why is he not? Okay. Oh, yeah.